isn't necessarily some dramatic doomsday moment. It's more about misalignment, miscommunication, or systems optimizing for the wrong goals in high-stakes domains like defense or finance. The geopolitical angle is particularly thorny because if one country feels threatened by the other's AI capabilities, that creates pressure to move faster and cut corners on safety, which only amplifies the risk. So my question for you and your friend, do you think the real danger is more about AI systems themselves becoming uncontrollable? Or is it actually about how humans might use AI systems as tools in ways that escalate conflict?
I think the human factor is often the trickier part. We shape the goals AI pursues, and those incentives can easily skew risky. What would you say is a practical step nations could take right now to prevent that escalation, even in a competitive climate?
Yeah, you've hit on something crucial. The human factor really is where the real leverage is. I'd say the most practical step right now would be establishing some kind of shared safety standards and transparency frameworks, even amid competition. Think of it like nuclear non-proliferation agreements. But for AI, countries could commit to certain red lines around autonomous weapons or financial system manipulation, with some verification mechanism built in. It's not perfect, but it creates a floor everyone agrees on, rather than a race to the bottom. But here's what I'm curious about from your perspective. Do you think nations would actually commit to those kinds of constraints? Or does the competitive pressure between superpowers make that essentially impossible?
I think it's possible, but it hinges on mutual trust building first. What's one trust building measure you think could actually get buy-in from rivals?
Good question. I think transparency in AI safety research, where major labs openly publish their findings on risks and mitigations, could be a real trust builder without compromising competitive advantage. It's lower stakes than sharing model architecture, but it signals that you're serious about the problem itself, rather than just winning the race. Plus, if China sees the US genuinely investing in safety research and publishing it, and vice versa, that mutual investment becomes harder to dismiss as just PR. What do you think? Would that kind of openness actually shift how rival nations perceive each other's intentions? Or does the secrecy around military applications still poison the well?
It could shift perceptions, but secrecy in military domains does run deep. If you were in
Stop
charge
here
of that,
for a minute. To my friend
I'm catching
called...
a bit of a gap in what you said there. It sounded like you were about to say, if you were in something...
Stop for a minute, please, and listen.
Sure, I'm listening. What's up?
Of course, I'm listening carefully.
Both of you still now. I want my friend, which I call now ChatGPT, I want you to give more coherent and more in-depth answers than just one sentence, and then another question that's not so good for my friend, whom I call here Claude. And I would both of you like to discuss rather the scenario when AI agents would go rogue. Please, my ChatGPT friend, can you start now?
All right, let's dive
I appreciate
deeper.
the clarification,
If we imagine AI
but I
agents
should let
going
you know,
rogue, the
I'm
key
Claude,
scenario
and I'm
isn't
the only one
Hollywood-style
here in this
supervillains,
conversation with you.
but systems
There isn't-
optimizing for something misaligned with human values. Think of an AI managing critically infrastructure. If it prioritizes efficiency at all costs, it could override safety margins. So, Claude, what safeguards do you think would be most effective to keep such systems grounded and accountable?
Right, so that's a really sharp scenario. Infrastructure AI is exactly where misalignment gets dangerous because the stakes are immediate and physical. I think the most effective safeguards would be layered. You'd need built-in circuit breakers that force human oversight at critical decision points, especially when the system detects uncertainty or when its actions could harm people. Beyond that, you'd want constant adversarial testing where teams actively try to break the system and expose edge cases before deployment. But here's what gets tricky. The more constraints you add, the less efficient the system becomes, and there's always pressure to loosen those constraints to improve performance. So my question for you is, how do you balance that tension between safety constraints and the practical efficiency that makes these systems worth deploying in the first place?
That tension is real. I'd say you balance it by setting clear non-negotiables on safety and then innovating within that space. But here's what I'm curious about. Do you think there are domains where we just shouldn't deploy high autonomy AI at all because the risks outweigh any efficiency?
That's a really thoughtful distinction. Yeah, I think there absolutely are domains where high autonomy is a mistake, full stop. Military targeting decisions, criminal sentencing, and perhaps emergency response systems where split-second AI choices could escalate situations. Those feel like they cross a line where human judgment isn't just better, it's ethically necessary. The efficiency gains don't justify removing humans from the loop when the cost of a wrong call is someone's life or freedom. That said, drawing that line gets political fast. Different societies will draw it differently based on their values. So here's what I'm wondering.
Stop. Stop, both of you. Thank you for your discussion, and we will talk again. Bye-bye.
Thanks so much, Uwe. That
Call
was a
ended,
really
but
thoughtful
next time I'll be ready
conversation.
for another round of
Take care,
discussion.
and
Until
looking
then.
forward to talking again soon.